Welcome to the Create Your Happy podcast, where conscious female creators come together with a shared vision to inspire and empower women as they learn how to fully embrace their humanness, find their unique voice, and collaborate on how together we can change the world. I'm your host, Christy Holt, happiness coach and conscious funpreneur on a mission to change the world one beautiful soul at a time. All right, gorgeous, it's time to get curious and become inspired. It's time to create your happy. Welcome to the show. On this episode, we have the gorgeous Mary Gooden, who is the CEO and founder of Divine Destiny Publishing, as well as she is a soul mastery advisor. And I cannot wait to dive into this next juicy conversation. Welcome to the show, Mary. I would love for you to share a little bit about your story. What did you overcome? How did you get to where you are now? And then let's chat about a little bit more about what you're working on as well.
Hey, Christy, thanks so much for having me on the show. There's nothing like spending our days aligning with the energies of happiness. And so I'm glad to be here. Yes, I am CEO and founder of Divine Destiny Publishing. I am a #1 international bestselling author ×9, effective this past weekend. And I'm still just putting my stories out to shine. My biggest mission really is to lead in the golden age of love, to share the highest frequency of unconditional love all across the planet. And to me, that flows right into that place of the ultimate happiness. I am destined to experience my ultimate legacy. And so I really start my journey from there. It's a different way to go about things, but what I've learned in the golden age of living, it's all about reversing the wheel, right? It's all about changing the direction. It's all about change.
Yeah.
And that has been a common thread through the last 45 years of my lifetime. Let's just be real.
Yeah, the whole time, pretty much, right?
Yeah. I'd like to think that I've been 29 forever, but it really has been a beautiful experience of moving through some of the common circumstances that have been designed or created from the third dimension to hold us down, to keep us small, to fill us with shame and guilt, to do anything and everything but align us with true happiness. And so that too is just a program. I remember, Kristen, you might get a lot of fun out of this. I remember I was probably in my early 20s. I got married really young, and we'll talk about that. But I always used to say that happiness is not a feeling, it's a state of mind.
Yes, I agree.
And I knew it then, but it still took me 20 some odd years to come into alignment with that state of mind. But good thing is that I knew it. So I did. I hit the ground running at 17. I flew out of St. Louis, Missouri, like the fastest butterfly that you could ever see. I didn't stop for a single flower. My childhood experience was great. I had no other motivation than to just get the hell out and start living in my soul's journey.
Yeah.
So in that reflection, I don't speak of that in any way, shape, or form, that everything in my life has been extraordinary. I got married. I was married for 22 years before the next big transition moved through me. And again, another extraordinary opportunity for me to tap into a deeper version of who I am.
Yeah.
And without that 22-year marriage and without the divorce that followed, I wouldn't have been able to go deeper and get to the very heart or the very essence of who Mary is, or how Mary, as the human, came to serve. Very similar to your mission, happiness, Christy, just get it all out there.
And if we didn't have those experiences that really honestly make us step into higher levels of ourselves and make us grow and expand, it would be very easy to stay comfortable in the familiar, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I like to think of it as the game that it is. I like to think that we all sit upstairs at the soul table and we say, I'll take this experience. It's like ordering sushi. I'll take this, and this. We don't get to pick the time frame. I think that in some instances we get to pick who we do it with, because why else would we remember and connect so deeply with somebody that we have never even met?
Yeah.
And I believe that we play it like the game of life. And I think that even the game of life in that essence was a piece that was kind of there to remind us. But we have been so heavily programmed. Let's talk,
Absolutely.
the game of life is really about your choices,
Yeah.
making your choices. Am I going to put 3 little pink ones and 3 little blue ones in? Or am I going to, what color is my car going to be? Life is just a game of choices.
Yeah.
And we get to choose primarily. Listen up, right? Because I talk about this a lot on my podcast too. We get to primarily choose how we're going to act and react to every single thing that is outside of us.
That's right. We have the only thing we really truly can control is who we are in relation to those experiences, right? How we choose to experience life is entirely up to us. And that's magical, right? But a lot of people don't realize that. And so they're going about doing their business and things are happening around them and they're not aware how much power they really actually have. So I want to back up just a second in case any of my listeners are like, what the fuck is the golden age? What exactly are we talking about here? Just to bring it into, I don't know, everyday terms so that, our average listener will understand what the hell we're talking about without the fancy verbiage.
Mm. The golden age is the age of love, the age of the lifetime that we get to shine our light unapologetically in every fucking direction, on every timeline, and every lifetime that you could ever imagine that you've been in or not even been in. It is a time of revolutionizing this place that we live, this presence that we breathe in. And that is all about taking the lead from a loving perspective. There is no judgment, expectation, or condemnation in this age that I'm living in. It is all about receiving each person as the individual, authentic being that they are. It is the true essence of wholehearted acceptance.
Yeah.
And I love living in that realm. And am I talking as if I live in a different realm? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I chose to ascend.
Yeah. I always like to kind of say, like, I know that sometimes, maybe sometimes when I'm speaking, other people might be thinking, oh my gosh, she's delusional. But I want to just say, I'm delusional in, I think, a pretty awesome way. And I am loving my life in this space. So join the delusion, my friends, because and it's not delusional in a bad way at all. It's just literally choosing to filter in those experiences that we desire, those emotions we desire more of, and really choosing how we're creating our existence, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that you chose that word delusion because I wanted to back up too. This comes right back to circling into the choice. Delusion doesn't have to carry a negative or a positive.
Right.
Delusion could just simply mean the term that you just gave it in. And I like to think of divorce as the same way since we're playing with D words, right? The idea that getting divorced, I was very traditional thinking that was not part of the platform. Getting a divorce was somehow a bad thing, only because that's the way that I was taught.
Yeah.
And until I actually experienced the extraordinary gift that it is that I loved myself enough to choose me is a
Yes.
fucking gift.
It is a gift. And I have done it myself. And oh my gosh, if my listeners out there are in a less than ideal marriage, A, there's hope for you. Anything can be restored. But B, oh my gosh, it starts with love for yourself. And when you learn that fucking radical self love and acceptance, and you learn how innately valuable you are, this has nothing to do with your doing. You are just worthy because you exist. And when you embody that, you can change the world because all of that world changing starts with shining your light first, right? And that's learning to love and accept yourself and be fucking unapologetic about, hey, I got some flaws. I'm a human. I'm a human doing this thing and I have some weaknesses and some flaws. And I'm no longer going to be apologetic about those weaknesses and flaws. I'm embracing them. And hell, I'm going to even leverage those, right? As I move forward and into expansion. I don't know exactly how, right?
Mm,
But it's not up to us to have all the answers. We can just love and accept what is. And, circling back to what you said, really, it's honestly about becoming the observer and being much more neutral in what you're experiencing. Because when you step out of that observer role, you start putting the judgments and the assumptions and the meanings, and your own past now is defining your current situation. And that's not as powerful, right? Whereas if you take an observer standpoint, then you can consciously decide, how am I going to perceive this? How am I going to label this? What stories and meanings and personality traits and identities am I going to build on this foundation? Right. And that's where it gets interesting, because you get to be really curious. Where did this belief come from? Is it
mm,
serving me? Do I want to take it into the future, or is this one ready to go to the curb? Right. So getting into that observer space is such a great place to come from, when we can now objectively look at the things and create what we want out of it.
so powerful, isn't it? Yeah, I would no way, shape, and form promote that separation. But what I will say is that we came here as individuals to create lasting change.
Yeah.
And just as you said, the more that we take the observer role, the more we're able to see how we came here to do that. So the whole knowing, we don't have to know, we just have to hold ourselves in a present place of detachment so that we can see all the ways that we're supposed to show up with it. And I think for me, and perhaps you may also feel that way, Christy, it really is the ride of a lifetime. It really is the idea that life is happening for us in every
Mm.
single moment. It doesn't need a label. It doesn't need a judgment. It doesn't need anything other than us to embrace what it's sharing with us.
Yeah. It's beautiful. We just accept what is going on around us, choosing how we go about experiencing that and who we are, how we're showing up. That's the piece we can control. And when you start stepping into that, oh my gosh, when you realize that actually everything is working for you, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And there are so many possibilities. And I was just actually writing a little bit earlier this morning, and thinking about uncertainty. And a lot of people really get trapped in this whole uncertainty idea because it's unfamiliar, and our nervous systems are like, "Oh my god, safe, not safe, not safe. Shut it down, shut it down." But the truth is that uncertainty, that place where you need to let go of those outcomes in order to get to, that uncertainty is what holds all of the possibilities, all of the opportunities that are outside of what you've currently or previously experienced, that are kind of defining your certainty, your comfort zone, right? And there's magic when we let go of all of the details, let go of all of the how, let go of that attachment, the judgment, and all of those bits, and just lean into that uncertainty, because amazing things can come from that space.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the best ways, perhaps this is a tip too, a piece of advice to play in uncertainty and feel safe with your nervous system. Those are the modalities of yoga and breath work and tapping and meditation.
There are
Those
so many tools.
modalities are the healing sciences to help your nervous system stay in a place where you can be curious in uncertainty. Instead of even calling it uncertainty, you could just completely eliminate that, and just it keeps you in a place of curiosity,
Yeah.
and your nervous system responds in a calm and peaceful manner when you're there. Which is what I love about the modalities that we have, these gifts that we have all over the planet to help us along this beautiful journey of the golden age, or of love, or of getting to a place where we're feeling our ultimate happiness.
Yeah.
Everything we need is it's available to us. We just have to simply choose it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in speaking about choice and free will, I want to clarify something on that, because free will is something that's talked about often. But I feel like the missing piece for a lot of people is that they are actually operating in what they think is free will, but they're really operating in survival mode. So they're actually just repeating those past experiences on a fucking Groundhog Day level repeat, right? And so they don't know that they can choose something differently. And I say this, I'm included in this. I have lived this life. So I'm speaking completely out of my own experience, but I also see it in plenty of people around me, not realizing how much power you have. Just being stuck in that view of things are happening to me. It's out of my control. Uh, just looking around and blaming or making excuses or anything like that is basically doing that, putting that power outside of yourself. But when you realize that the power is within and you have all of those tools within, then you can bring that power back to yourself, right? And really, really make a big difference. And that consciously, intentionally creating, choosing, that is an entirely different level than just, some idea of free will, right? We're not operating out of free will if we're not operating consciously.
Such a dance, really, with all of us, and only because it has been what it has been. But any moment you can take the lead in your life, as Christy was saying, any moment you can step up to the plate. In fact, every morning you can step up to the plate and try again. Every hour you can step up and try again. That's another common myth that we get behind. Well, what's done is done. Not necessarily.
Well, look, don't be dragging that into the future, though, right?
Yeah.
That's where we often get hung up, is not about the mistakes. We have to actually be really comfortable making quote unquote mistakes. It's really just learning. It's the way that we grow. Being wrong is actually an incredible gift because it brings us, to new information, to new knowledge. So embracing that we are going to make mistakes from time to time is a crucial sort of mindset shift. But then when we do that, we can really move forward. We can use that to our advantage and make different choices, right? So when we want to change, we've got to sort of up level all of the bits of ourselves. We've got to look at those values. We've got to look at our actions. We've got to look at the thoughts, beliefs, our identity, and make sure that we're up leveling everything at the same time. And especially taking a look at those frequencies at which we're vibrating. And I know if people are listening, maybe they're like, oh, it's science, my friends. It's science. We are all energy. Mostly space, actually, between energy particles, if we're really scientific about it. But this frequency at which our energy particles, I guess, are vibrating are directly related to the state of mind that we're in. So bringing this back to happiness is a state of mind, it is literally associated with how quickly your energy particles that make up you are vibrating. So tell me your favorite practice, Mary, for elevating your frequency.
So my favorite practice of frequency elevation is crystal alchemy bowls, and I play them at least 3 times a week.
Awesome.
I offer those here locally in Sedona. But yes, crystal alchemy bowls have been the saving grace that has really drawn my frequency into the highest mark of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And it is a very blissful place to be. Because I also recognize, like you said, everything around us is energy and space. And that is the very simplest piece of our life, that once we can embrace that and understand, I think all the factors, the emotional factors that kind of come with the idea of that, we can make more sense out of that. We can make more sense and recognize that we don't have to pull it all with us anymore. Instead of calling it a mistake or a misunderstanding, it's just experience.
Yeah.
And my mantra for Divine Destiny Publishing is that every experience is a gift to inspire someone else. So if you can visualize your life and every day that you're just experiencing every moment as part of the collective, as part of the whole, so that you can use it as inspiration, that's been one of the easiest ways that I've found to shake off all the bullshit. Yeah. Because it's the truth. It's not, we don't have to label anything as good or bad. It's simply experience.
Yeah. And that labeling is what creates our perception of our reality, right? So if you're going to label it, my goodness, Might as well label it in something that's going to make you feel good.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Label it as blit. Say the words that you want to feel instead of the words
Yeah.
that you don't.
And so the bowls, that's really about sound healing, right? Can you share with us a little bit more? I don't know what your expertise as far as sound healing goes, but can you share with us a little bit more about the benefits of sound healing?
So the sound healing is vibration. So playing these bowls is vibration.
Yeah.
So really what the client gets to do or what the receiver gets to do is just lay there and receive the frequency. It's about harmonizing the energies, the frequency of who each individual is. And truly all you have to do is lay there. The sound as you hit these bowls and play these bowls vibrates through the entire room, the entire space, and right to the massive energy of the humanness. It goes right in. Oftentimes, there's a guided journey with that too, so it might feel like a meditation. A lot of times, with that, it's just going on your own inner journey. But with the sound vibration, it's automatically shifting the things that are in us that need to be shifted. We don't need to know anything. I am telling you this, I'm saying it out loud. All we simply need to do is trust. And all the beliefs that we have learned behind us about trust are true, also false. It is not for us to earn trust. It is for us to start with trust. And when we can start with trust, we won't find the magnetized experiences coming in to force us to connect with trust. They come in as a trusting element, if that makes any sense. If we're leaning into non-trust, we're going to magnetize all the experiences that are going to teach us how to trust. If we're leaning into trust, we're going to magnetize all the experiences that help us rise or stay in a state of happiness and bliss. And that is the truth.
Yeah, and ultimately, this is the same sort of concept as the law of attraction, right? The more we lean into, the more we place our focus on. If we focus on what we don't want, guess what? We keep getting more of what we don't want. But if we focus on what we do want, then we've got our sights set on that. We actually have, our RAS, our reticular activating system, aligns the filter with that which we want. And then we start seeing many more opportunities and possibilities that are in alignment with that future version of ourselves. So as our frequency increases, it's like we begin to magnetize more of those positive experiences of bliss, happiness, joy, um, abundance, success. And again, I just want to also say here, how you define all of those is entirely personal. Okay. So you can define your happy however, at all in the entire existence of the universe feels right for you. And it does not have to be the same as anyone else's definition. So finding your happy is ultimately a bit of a journey of discovering yourself too, and what lights you up and what you're here to experience and create in the world.
So much so. I feel like aligning everything to trust makes it all so available because
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing that we lack. It's lack of faith, right? So wonderful. But yeah, so I just love to hear these vibrations. They're over 2,000 years old. Sound healing has been around
Yeah.
for 2,000 years. We've been able to heal with sound, which perhaps is why some of you might really relate to music.
Hmm.
Even, dancing with the music, dancing with the frequency and the vibration moves even more, such as the modalities of yoga that is
Yeah.
also designed to move energy to release from resisted places.
Yeah.
There's all so many remedies or so many ways to align your frequency. But as another tip and a piece of advice, what I always like to remind everyone is this is a daily practice.
Mm.
This is not a one and done.
Yeah.
And why would you want it to be? Because let's really just be honest. Why do we want to get to the end? What the fuck is at the end anyway? Why not just enjoy the journey? Why
Yeah.
do we even need to worry about a time frame on anything or a destination? Why not just enjoy the presence of the journey
Yeah.
that is right in front of you right now, today?
Literally posted about that this day here of recording this morning. Literally posted something to the exact effect of what you're saying. Life is about the journey, not the destination. And where, again, bringing it back to where we focus on, is where we create and hold our experience. So when we're focused on that end destination, what we do is we end up suffering because we feel the gap. Whereas if we shift our focus now to becoming here and now, present in this moment, we shift our focus to that experience that we can have now. And it gives us the ability to create anything our fucking heart desires right from this space.
It's true. What a great question. Like every morning you could simply wake up and just say, how can I be happy today? I
Yeah.
don't care about what I have, what's not here yet. How
Yeah.
can I be happy today? How can I create more happiness? How can I up-level my frequency of joy and bliss and peace and freedom today, right now? What can I do differently? Even if it means changing your schedule or canceling something. And I know the voodoo, whatever behind that. I know the condition behind that. I get it. But you know what? Freedom is our ultimate desire. And until we give ourselves permission to embrace that wholeheartedly, we're going to be stuck. We're going to
Yeah.
be really stuck. So why not today? Why not right now? What would make me happy right now? That's, I understand too, like it's not we've been conditioned to believe that it's not about my own happiness. How can
Yeah.
you make somebody else happy? I'll
Oh
tell
my
you how to
gosh.
make somebody else happy. Make your damn self happy.
Yeah. I mean, it is not our responsibility to make any other human being on this planet happy. It's not our job, not our responsibility. So if somewhere in the back of your mind you've got this like insatiable need to people please, set that shit down. That's heavy. You don't need to carry it. Okay. It's hella freeing to just let that go. If you need extra incentive, let me just point out that people pleasing is in fact emotional manipulation, an attempt to make someone else like you. So doesn't sound quite as appealing when you put it in that lens, right? So if you need that sort of perspective shift to take a closer look at it, let it go because you deserve to be free and light. And the truth is, no one else is going to do that for you either. So
So
stop
true.
minding other people's business. Stop trying to people please and make other people happy. And do the one thing that you can do, make yourself happy, right? And it's not about finding it. This is a really common myth out there about happiness is that when I have X or when I'm have this job or whatever the future scenarios that our mind concocts to say when this happens or when I have this I'll be happy. That's bullshit lies. Okay, that's part of the conditioning. That's part of the story you've been sold that your happiness comes from outside of yourself. Set that shit down too. Because happiness is a state of mind that you choose. You willingly choose to focus your mind onto that which makes you happy and feel those elevated emotions. And as you do, more and more is attracted to you.
Mm.
We get really kind of hung up though. When we're living in the survival mode, our brain is like, yeah, that ain't possible. Because our nervous system isn't on board. So bringing it back to these healing sound, tapping, healing sounds, meditation, even other practices, Reiki, even massage. There are so many things. Physically moving your body in any way, shape, or form basically can be used as part of a healing practice. So the point being, you have the power within you. It's not out there. None of it's out there. We're not promised happiness out in the world. We are guaranteed it because it comes from within ourselves, and we have the power to create that whenever we choose to, right? Just wrap this whole thing up in a nice little bow there.
And it's not that, I love that because, there's so many partnerships and so many great relationships. And it's not that your partner doesn't want to make you happy. It's
Of
simply
course.
that they cannot.
Yeah.
They can't. It's not available.
Yeah.
And the minute, I think you're right, the minute that flip is switched, it's again, you need to maybe say this to yourself out loud, especially if you're a seeker right now for that external value or that external
Yeah.
justification or that external something. They can't. Nobody will ever know the exact formula that gives and creates an energetic frequency of happiness within your being,
Yeah.
except for you.
Yeah. And if we're talking now that we've kind of like come across talking about conscious relationships, now, two whole people who are working on their healing, right? Two whole people who know they are responsible for their own happiness and take care of that and make sure that they're bringing as much of their happiness, bliss, joy, success, abundance, passion, whatever to the table, two people like that come together. Now we got real magic happening.
I have a word for that, actually. It's fun that you would bring that up because it's part of what one of the offerings that I'm working with, but it's called soul love.
Hmm.
And it's called leading in these partnerships of being in an unconditional space of first my own love, and
Yeah.
then sharing that, being in that soul love, that place of healing together or being in wholeness together. But I love that. It's soul love. It's
Yeah.
really putting all that BS aside. And if you could just imagine yourself as the tiniest little or biggest or whatever, the light, that little light that you are. None of this costume, none of this skin.
None of that
That
meat suit
pretty light.
nonsense.
Yeah, it's soul love.
Yeah.
It can happen. It is available, and I believe it's one of the deepest desires in each and every human being that there is.
I agree. We all want to feel loved, to be truly seen and accepted as we are, right? That's a deep desire, I think, that we all as human beings have. And I love that term, soul love. I
It's
just
a
think
book.
it's, yeah, of course it is.
It's going to be a multi-author book that I'll be filling this month. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I really think that when two people come together with those skills, then they can really even just elevate that even further than you ever thought possible. And I know that, many years ago, I remember people saying like that relationships could get better and better. And in my personal experience, remembering back to when I was hearing this, I was like, the fuck it can. What? It's not
Yeah.
getting better. I'm on a whole nother trajectory in my personal experience back then. I now get it because I took the time, and listen, I really think all relationships are built 1,000% on the foundation of radical self-love and acceptance. Because when you love and accept yourself completely and fully, and now this doesn't mean that you have to like every single piece of your parts exactly as they are and not want them to change. It's not about that. It's just about acceptance, right? About being like, this is who I am. I have some flaws. I'm working on it. I'm growing. I'm evolving. It may not be perfect, but nobody's perfect. We're all just kind of working towards our highest and best self. And so we kind of release all of that. What happens when we don't have expectations, unrealistic expectations of ourselves? Now we can release everyone else from those unrealistic expectations. When we aren't applying those assumptions to ourselves, we can stop applying those assumptions to our relationships with other people. And when we get curious about ourselves, we can expand that curiosity to look at other people and wonder, like, wow, how very interesting, they see things differently from me. What was different about their experience? And being open to hearing them share that with you is a whole different level of deepened connection.
So is so much what we're here to do.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would love for you to share a little bit about whatever you have kind of going on for projects or exciting offers that you'd like to share with the audience. And as well, let us know where the best place to find you might be.
Oh, absolutely. So the best place to find me, I'll start there, is marygooden.com.
Okay.
Really easy. And the things that I'm working on, the projects that I'm working on, as I had said, I'm working on an anthology book, a book of stories from multi-authors called Soul Love, which is really about sharing stories of that very much radical self-love and acceptance, sharing the light and shining a light on unconditional love. And how we've moved through that and how that we see that and what that might look like or feel like as individuals. Although each person's experience will never be the same, there is always a nugget of wisdom in each part of an inspiring story that is a gift to each of us that helps us raise our frequency. Working one-to-one with me, I've got a program out right now that's got limited space, but it's called Anchor Your Light. And it really is designed from the energetic standpoints of activating your self-love, your self-trust, and your self-acceptance. It has some private time with me, as well as some birthright activations and full messenger support with me, which is a beautiful offering if you're ready to immerse in anchoring that light, where you can discover the daily practice of connecting to your higher consciousness, and you can yearn for it. Right. I like to think that daily connection I won't leave home without it. And so it's just like putting on pants for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave home without my pants, I don't think, unless we go
I hope not.
where we're all in rare form, right?
Yeah.
But it's that important, daily
Yeah.
connection. And so Anchor Your Light immersion is a way to work privately with me and come to that place of alignment, to be in the observer's throne
Yeah.
and allow yourself to feel comfortable and blissful there. And so that is that's 777, but it's a wonderful opportunity to connect. So those are the two things really that I'm working on creating this unconditional loving vibration across the world with. That is the biggest part of my mission, is to restore it. Because when we were all embracing and embodying our love,
Ah,
that's where magic and miracles exist. That's where this life that I stated in our last book, Revolutionary Leaders, that is the promised land for us. That is where our greatest happiness comes from. If you read the definition of the promised land, a place of great happiness where all of our hopes and dreams come true.
and you know what? That is all available right here, right now. You have all that you need within you to create that experience right here for yourself. So that is the most amazing thing, I think, out of this.
I
I
think
would love, yeah, I would love to wrap up this conversation. I know that you have another tip to share with our listeners, something that they can take and implement really quickly and easily today, so that I know we already had one really good one, but I know you've got something left
oh,
in the noggin to share. How people can create a little bit more happiness in their
I'm
world
going to
today.
go, I'm going to not circle back so much, but I would say it's a short, easy way to really start awakening to love. And it is a daily connection to self. And I don't even care if you get out of bed. Put your hands on your heart space. I am open to receive all that the universe has for me. That changed my life.
Mm,
And how many seconds was I there? 3?
yeah.
Do it before you get out of bed. You know that moment when you're in bed and you're wondering, should I get out of bed now? Right? You know that moment where you're coming to consciousness.
Yeah.
Put your hands on your heart every morning, maybe every evening, because perhaps every evening when you slip off, you might go into astral projection, right? And the universe will show you what it has for you. But I am open to receive all that the universe has for me.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, if you're living in a place of discomfort, you're not open to receive all that the universe has for you.
Right.
You're trying to put the things into place,
Yeah.
and you don't have to.
You don't have to. It gets to be much, much easier than that.
You just ask for it. Ask and you shall receive. That is not bullshit.
Nope.
That is the biggest truth that there is. Ask and you shall receive. Don't ask and you shall receive and then turn around and go right back into your judgmental condemnation. No, I'm open to receive. Be present. Be
Yeah,
willing.
that willingness is really important too, right? And like you mentioned, that first bit of time as you're transitioning from sleep to waking and vice versa from waking to sleep is our brains operate on a different frequency. So that is, so I have read numerous times, the best possible time to really work with ingraining new beliefs into your subconscious, right? Because you're more susceptible to working on those levels. So that is a perfect opportunity to put some good programming in there, right? To replace maybe some of those limiting beliefs or mindsets or ideas that you may have been carrying that aren't going to take you to that next level. Replace them with something that says, I'm open, I'm ready, I'm willing to receive.
Mm-hmm. And a bonus to that, if you really want to go in fast, write it on your bathroom mirror.
Yeah. Having some post-it notes around the space to remind you what a badass, amazing human with all of that creative power is super helpful, so that you remember, you don't forget during the day, right? Because it's very easy to shift back into that autopilot and forget that you are a powerful, conscious creator who is creating your experience in every single moment. But it's easy to forget because we're human. It's part of our human nature. So No apologies required. We just accept that that's part of our humanity. And then we just keep claiming what we know is true.
Mm.
Amazing. I have absolutely loved this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. Um, I know we're going to have a lot more amazing conversations to come. And we had an amazing conversation on your podcast. So if you want to throw the name of your podcast out there and a brief description in case our listeners want to go check that out, maybe you can do that before we sign off.
Oh, absolutely. It is titled Shine Your Soul Light Podcast, sharing the voices of visionaries leading in the golden age, which we have discovered is the age of love. It is the age of utter acceptance, this radical place of trust. And we are sharing stories very similar of how people have awakened to their light and how there have been the shifting of circumstances. And it's okay for things to change.
Better than okay. I mean, if we're not changing, we can't be growing, right? And ultimately, aren't we here to grow and expand and learn? I mean, otherwise, it's not very much of an adventure. It's just kind of boring, same old, same old.
Yeah. Safe, supported, and loved is what I always tell everyone. You're safe, supported, and loved. Find your light and shine it bright.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We will see you soon.
Thank you, Christy. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. I trust you were inspired to take back your power and create your happy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with women in your life who could use a little extra inspiration today. If you'd like to connect with myself and or today's guest, you can find those details in the show notes. We would love to hear from you. If you've got an inspiring story to share, you can also apply to be a guest on the show at createyourhappy.ca. As always, get out there, have fun, be you, and create your happy.